Okay, here's a quick demo to help you figure out how to do your large language model of your logbook. This is part of a self-review so that you can see one, whether your documentation matches your own knowledge of what you know and what you don't know. This is super important to be able to communicate what you know to other people. So, by practicing on a large language model, it will help you know that your documentation is sufficient, or maybe it's not sufficient to explain to others what you know. So the first thing to do, of course, is to download your completed logbook. So here's my completed logbook. I'm using Design 300 in this case, but this works for all of the classes that you might have a logbook for. Okay, so I've completed it. And here's what it looks like. There's X's and all the appropriate ones. And you'll see that sometimes there's multiples and that I've got everything submitted. I've got all my times, got my levels of mastery. I've hid some stuff. I don't need to show everything on here. Okay, and I downloaded that as a PDF. So the next thing to do is put in some sort of prompt. And so here's a very simple prompt that you would use, and then a follow-up prompt would be something like this one. So I put a prompt like this into Gemini, and I came up with, it did a whole bunch of work here. It showed the thinking. It says, here are the learning outcomes, and here are the courses aligned with those outcomes from my check marks, which is kind of cool. It lists them all. That's very neat stuff. And then it made me my summary chart with, and I asked it to rank achievement. Okay, so you can see that I believe that I have worked on workplace skills a lot, and I've documented that. So I've got that in there. I've done a lot of work on materials of construction, and I've got a lot of them, and I've ranked myself fairly well. Standards and specifications, pretty good, pretty good. I got a lot of them in there. Materials of construction, and we didn't do a lot of this, of create material, labor, and cost estimates. So you shouldn't feel bad that that's not outstanding. We did not do a lot, but that's appropriate to this class. Okay, and then I asked it for a little bit more. I said summarize strengths and areas for improvement. So this went through what they are. And areas of improvement. Look at and oh my gosh, I did a couple of zero logged hours, which says that either I'm highly efficient, or I lack attention to accurately logging the time spent. That's a nice way of saying I lied. Um, I could have lacked attention and just missed them. So, so that's what you're going to end up with, and you're going to take all of this and give me a PDF. So you can copy all this onto a document, download that as a PDF, and that is what you're going to turn in for this LLM self-review. Remember, this is still in the self-review item that we're trying to do. All right, there we go. That's what you're going to work on first thing that we're going to work on this week as we finalize our self-review and also talk about the portfolio.